mixture of emotions. There is a flow to it. So that's why it's important to understand the tarot, so you kind of go, wow, I'm having abundance right now. That means it's going to get tight in a minute, so I should probably take some of that money and put it to the side, and I should save it and be smart. So when I get this card, I know that I'm in an abundant place and everything is feeling really good. I'm feeling really spiritually abundant and fertile and plenty and hospitality and success and kindness and bounty. And so this is a fertility card, so if a woman is asking a question related to, am I going to get pregnant, and they get this card, I'm like, absolutely, okay, absolutely. But at the same time, I would try to give a warning with this card and say, the good times don't always roll. Save some money for the rainy day, tuck some things away, because you are in a place of abundance right now, and don't assume that it's just going to keep doing that. So the cups are all overflowing, everything's looking beautiful and fabulous and wonderful, and there's no big problem at the moment. But notice that those cups are a little bit ornate. So, and then you've got the sign of Mercury at the top and Cancer at the bottom. So you've got Mercury, the god of communication, in alignment with home and hearth and family and babies and this lovely stability thing. So there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of activity. So if somebody got this card related to a question on a business, the business is definitely going to work. I mean, there's a tremendous abundance there, and the networking and the communication, and that's got good stability. It's beautiful. Then you go to the 4. Now, notice, with this card, I always like to think of Raiders of the Lost Ark again, when he goes to find the Holy Grail, and he picks the gold cup, and he says, he chose poorly, right? So when something gets too excessive, it's a big bad warning. Anything going too much, too far, gets a little out of hand. So one of the challenges is that with money, with all great wealth, comes a great deal of responsibility. But you can have people that want so much luxury, and it's over the top. It's just, they can't stop buying, they can't stop spending money. It's just completely over the top. And this is the beginning of the breakdown. So now we have the seeds of decay really definitely happening, but oftentimes people have so much money that they don't notice it right away, or they're in such an excessive place that they don't really notice it. So it's sort of like, I want love, I have love, I want more love, I want more abundance, and now I want everything. So it's like, I want. It's that really strong desire, driving place happening. So what's happening now is that the clouds have come in, and it's starting to get a little gray and murky. So it's that warning that something's changing, the weather's changing, the water has gone milky, and when water goes milky, that's not a good sign either. So the water's not clear anymore. And the cups are beautiful, but notice there's vines starting to grow. And when vines start to grow, vines tend to grow on death energy, so they feed off of other things. So vines can choke a tree and kill a tree. So our desire for luxury can choke our creativity, they can choke our relationships, they can choke our growth. So if we're looking just from the standpoint of sexual energy, I want more sex, I want more sex, I want more sex. So the easy example are the very successful people that are really amazing and they get overdone sexually. So they go too far into the sexual place and they have to sometimes pull themselves back. But when you've got so much power, you've got so much money, you think you can have everything. And so more is always better. That's the illusion of this card, and that's the mistake of this card. So when I get this card, I remind myself, I'm going into luxury. This is a little excessive. I probably should pull myself back a little bit from the brink. I know I'm enjoying this, but is this the healthiest thing? Or am I choosing wisely, or am I choosing poorly? Am I choosing because of my greed factor, because it's what I want, or is it what I really need? So as this economic downturn happened, I remember some women coming into my office, and I was trying to tell them that this economic downturn was happening, and they were just adamant, and they were pulling this card going, but I want my granite countertops. I have to have my granite countertops. And I'm like, why? I mean, really, I mean, it's sort of like, why do you need it? What does it mean to you to have the granite countertops? You have an identity that if I have granite countertops, that means I'm okay, or I'm successful, or I'm happy, or something. But external things, luxuries, don't really make you happy. It's internal things that make you happy. Okay? So you've got the sign of the moon at the top, in Cancer at the bottom. So the moon is the planet of illusion and delusion and deception. So where are you deluding yourself, creating illusions in your home and hearth that are actually suffocating, strangulating the flow, not allowing the flow to really be there? And notice that the flower from the love card, that pink flower from the love card, is actually beginning to wilt now. So the flower is actually falling, its head's falling over like this. So that's the other clue that, uh-oh, we're in the downturn, we're not in the upturn. So from there, when you finally realize that external things are not going to fulfill you, or when you constantly try to make external things fulfill and define you, you will eventually bump into disappointment, because it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. So this card is disappointment, and we have, remember the 5 is feminine, and we have a pentagram. Pentagrams are a sign of the feminine, but notice that this pentagram is on its head. So normally pentagrams are up like this. So the 2 little feet are like this, and it's like a person, right? But this pentagram is upside down, which means it's like you're on your head. So the pentagram is on its head, and how stable is that pentagram? It's not very stable, it's really tipply. So what happens is when you get disappointed, you get really unstable. Do you ever notice when you get your feelings hurt and somebody disappoints you, or they don't follow through, that you feel like your whole world is destabilized? Like you had this illusion, which is the luxury card, saying, I've got the perfect relationship, I've got the perfect job, and then all of a sudden the business gets sold and your husband is suddenly unhappy, and one little thing happens and you feel completely unstable. So one little disappointment can totally destabilize your energy and your flow and how you see yourself. So now notice, no water, no flow, no water coming out of the cups at all. The flowers, the petals are starting to fall off the flowers. Vines have taken over. The water has completely turned into algae down below. And you've got those big leafy things, but have you ever seen those big leafy things in Hawaii or the tropics, and they literally wrap around the trees and just choke the trees to death? So that's what you've got here. It's like now your disappointment is choking you to death. The resentment, your fears, your losses, you are being choked by your own emotion because you haven't figured out how to release the disappointment and the sadness and the vain regret.